Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about what I feel to be one of the most important weeks of the 2024 year cycle. Yes, this is the first week of November 2024. I am coming on to talk about the new moon in Scorpio as well as the confluence of other astrology transits which are really activating through that, including Mars in Cancer, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, having also Mercury in Scorpio, Pluto at the anaretic degree of Capricorn opposing Mars in Cancer. We have a lot to talk about in this video. Thank you so much for those of you who have subscribed to my YouTube channel. If you're new, hit that subscribe button below, turn on the bell notifications, and do check out the description box to see this channel's other offerings. There are currently free trials available on Patreon if you wanted to get week-ahead forecasts, monthly sign-by-signs. Yes, the November 2024 individual readings for each sign should be available on Patreon if you check out the link below. So yes, new moon in Scorpio, grand water trine also coming in of Mercury, Mars, and Neptune. I'm going to be making today a combined video talking about this new moon, talking about this grand water trine, and the sort of, as I said, confluence of all of these energies mixed together also with the Wood Dragon year, creating quite a strong alchemy. So first of all, where do we want to start? I'm going to start just with new moon in Scorpio and the effects that that will be having this year, and we'll work our way through each topic individually. Okay, so new moon in Scorpio 2024. Finally, there is a transformation coming in. Finally, there is an understanding of the path that we've been on for a long time. What about that path is going to work? What about that path will not work? And we have to simply just move through this time, sometimes with a bit of grit and a bit of even like survivalism, okay, as like some people are having to go through quite the gauntlet here, or some people are having to really employ major psychological coping in order to work through the confusion of this time. We have a wonderful chance here, though, to plug back into source, or to plug back in to our natal inherent energy and begin to recharge. So at least in my area, there has been a drought going since July, and I've been talking about this on Patreon, and it's something that's come up in quite a few of the readings over there about like how to work during a time where you don't feel like energy is that abundant, or you don't feel like resources are that abundant. That's kind of how I tried to channel and work through this greater time of drought in my area, was through like thinking about that in, yes, a physical way, but also in an energetic or ethereal way. You know, when the water element is not as present, or when you're in kind of a dry, tumultuous, or desert-like experience, when you feel that choices or actions that you've taken are not getting the reciprocal response, or perhaps you sense some type of decline in your life. First of all, that's about to change here. Okay, so November 1st, 2024, through about the 8th or 12th this month is going to automatically start to bring about a lot of resources where they were lacking before. The new moon is also going to connect us to our greater source, internal spring of energy. I've been very interested in this topic throughout 2024, like basically how we can find more energy inside instead of like desperately seeking for external approval, validation, trying to have other people support us, trying to have like monetary outcomes or external outcomes that give us energy. This has been such a rewarding year to begin to understand that you already have it, okay, that you already have what you need inside, or that you already, regardless of certain material contexts, have the internal spring of energy that will give to you everything that you need to be on the path that you may be looking for those external things to support you for. So this is a period of time, you all, where you can like basically skip a lot of the board in front of you and just advance to go, okay, to put it in Monopoly terms. I feel some people, for some people there's a shortcut here. For some people, there's also a like 1 to 2 year medium term kind of path shaping up that will basically sort of resolve all of the long-term lack that you've had recently, or all of the lack of energetic resources. Basically, I feel us recharging. I feel us revitalizing, and I feel us really being called to allow ourselves to do that. This is also a very big week and general moon cycle that we're in, new moon in Scorpio 2024. This is going to also bring about some results that we never could have seen coming, as we might see like on the world stage, that there are some unexpected results, or we might also see that some things are just a little bit hard to reconcile that they could ever get to this point. And I mean, this is such an interesting dialogue, actually. This has to do with Neptune in Pisces, near the anaretic degree, also the anaretic Pluto, and again, the anaretic Mars as well in Cancer, that opposition that's happening exactly this week, an exact anaretic opposition of Mars and Pluto in Cancer and Capricorn, and then obviously Neptune, okay, and Mercury working also in those, close to those degrees. Neptune being trine Mars, Neptune being sextile Pluto, Mercury being trine Mars, and Mercury being sextile Pluto. It's a very interesting confluence of energies there. And what this can do is this can actually place things so perfectly that you almost can't stand it, or you can't process it. Like, and this is kind of sometimes where the universe comes in, or we have almost an act of God, or an act of something that's not in our control, and it does everything that we ever needed. Okay, so like for those of us who are like control freaks, or for those of us who feel like we have to do everything ourselves, or we have to, you know, carry every boulder up the hill alone, this could be a really challenging psychological time, where you almost realize that sometimes through letting go and letting God, or just allowing nature to do what it does, it almost just places you so much better, okay? And at the same time, on the sort of global external level, there are just going to be some really unexpected results, but it almost places you better, or it almost lines things up in a way that at least makes the more meaningful path more clear and open. And yes, it does start to reduce certain paths that are overdone, that are not yielding anymore, and opens our eyes, yes, in some cases like secret gates or secret paths, or just to almost like, I don't know, it's maybe this means something to some of you, it's just what I'm getting psychically, but like secret recipes, secret mixtures, secret, I don't know if secret's the right word, this is more like alchemy, okay? When we're thinking of a word kind of like secret recipe or secret mixture, it's more like an alchemy, like something that we did not know, elements that could mix together, that generate a certain outcome, or generate a totally different paradigm that perhaps we didn't know that they could. So I'm seeing a lot of people through like going somewhere that they couldn't imagine they would do well in, like flourishing, or through having some type of connection that they thought was negative for them, flourishing, or through losing someone, or through going through a breakup, or through going through some type of hardship, unexpectedly flourishing. So here we have a little bit of a message about also the sign of Scorpio, and of course the moon is debilitated in Scorpio. We have a new moon in Scorpio. So these emotional complexes, or these psychological complexes, are really going to surface here, and a lot of them are going to be able to be let go of. As we start to realize, like, okay, I've not been thinking right about certain things, or I've been convincing myself that something is a negative outcome, when in reality, it's creating the perfect alchemy for me to flourish. Okay, do you have anything like that in your life here? Do you have anything where you're like so convinced consciously that it's not right, or you're so convinced that it's like minor, but it actually ends up being a major part of your life, or it ends up being something that gives a lot? Try to retract some of the self-persuasion, or some of the self-convincing about the way that things are, because those could change here. Basically, also an effect that we have with this confluence of energy is almost like the waterfall flowing upwards, okay? It's almost like physics is defied. It's almost like, also, yeah, some of the outcomes on like the global stage could be mimicking some kind of a phenomenon like that, where it's like, we don't understand how this could be possible, or we don't understand how this outcome could have ever manifested, but it is something that nature sometimes does, which is defies the expected, or defies the pre-planned or pre-imposed result. So New Moon in Scorpio of 2024 is really going to work on this, you all. It's going to work on this sort of like predefined idea, or these things that we've like really maybe generated a complex around, or we have also maybe brought forward past traumas or past stories or habits. Habitual structures are about to take a major hit, you guys, especially if they're not healthy for us, or if there's something that are out of time now. You would already feel it. It's like a boulder on your shoulders, okay, going up the hill alone, like to have certain habitual structures that aren't supportive of your health, or to have certain loops. Okay, I feel that the New Moon in Scorpio this year is going to be targeting energetically some of the negative loops that we have going in our lives, some of the negative emotional complexes, and also being too ruled by expectation, or being too ruled by control and presupposition. Is that a word? Like presupposing things. It's going to be so hard, but through this hardship, it's going to liberate a lot of our psyche and a lot of our general health. It's some people can really get like 80% of energy back that they didn't even know that they had, just through detaching or retracting some of these hooks on the presupposed or on the expectation. You know, as people who are really, this is an odd way to put things, but people who are really attached to seeing physics work out the same way all the time, you know, the waterfall just flowing downwards, now they see it flowing upwards. It can be like brain breaking for some people, and they can't cope with it. So we have to sometimes open our mind during this time to something that is greater than us, okay, to sometimes not understanding things, to sometimes also not needing certain plans, goals, or future ideas to like be something that get us through today. Some of us have to take things day by day here, as it's almost like the experience of the day by day and the paradigm shifts within that are what empower us, not so much the monetary results of each day or the material outcomes. So yes, there's going to be a need to really also come out of the past during this time. We've had a lot of time for processing this year in 2024, and this New Moon in Scorpio is going to give us really a lot of new energetic experiences, and it wants us to live our actual lives and not be so held down by presupposed expectations, by the past, by previous trauma, okay? This could also be a period of time where people start thinking differently about things, which makes me think this could be an interesting time for psychoanalysis, therapy, working with an astrologer, working with someone who helps you to see certain elements of your life differently, or doing this yourself. Okay, you might like go back on old journals and think, okay, is that still how I feel about that situation? And you can really breakthroughs coming through during this time, and breakthroughs that lead to very physical changes. Okay, so that's the interesting thing. I'll segue into talking also about Scorpio season in the context of being in the Wood Dragon year. I'll link my Wood Dragon video below for those of you who might want to do some past reversion or revisit that. But I feel that Scorpio season is the most alchemical connecting sign to the Wood Dragon year. It is evocative to me also of the Pluto Sun sextiles, or the Pluto sextile happening to Scorpio right now, as Pluto is also changing sign in November. I've talked about this in the November 2024 comprehensive astrology. I'll link that below too. But yeah, this is kind of one of the most evocative energies of the 2024 year cycle, is this water earth energy, okay, especially the sextile between Scorpio and Capricorn. And what that says to me is that there's a deeper earth connection that prevails beyond the minute or detail-oriented expectation. There's also like knowledge or ancient knowledge of the way energy works, or ancient knowledge of the way that human life force works, that is playing a bigger role here than, for example, our jobs or our relationships or these very mundane things. We are not really in a mundane energy here. So I wouldn't, this is going to be really helpful for some of you. I wouldn't look to the mundane or the bank balance or the relationships that you're engaged in to be something that could at all bring the meaning that you need from life right now. Because that's not where it's at. It's in a deeper kind of psychological, energetic association with the earth, or association with the deeper life force energy, and the way that that flows, the way that that spins itself and recreates itself, the way that we do connect to the earth as an energy source, the way that we have a relationship with the earth, and it gives to us and it takes from us, okay, and the way that reality changes, the way that paradigms change, the way that the wheel turns, okay? Like, all of this is where the meaning is at right now, okay? So try to not demand certain things to also give meaning where they cannot, or also try to not demand for certain jobs. There's especially a mental hang-up with things like jobs and incomes and material things right now. It's a really severe hang-up. And, you know, honestly, this new moon in Scorpio time and this greater Scorpio season during the Wood Dragon year, it could really help to soothe some of that, as there could also be stories that start during this time, or life journeys or life paths that transcend some of these mundane elements that start up here. Or there could be almost like a world of meaning or a world of energy that is just already inside from also things that have already been done, or from the way that we've emerged from something that we thought was negative with a positive result, okay? Or the way that we've emerged also, the other way around, from something that we really expected to be good for us with like a burnout or some kind of difficulty. You know, the wheel constantly turns. So the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot is definitely a major archetype to journey with here. Also the Death card, and I would say the World card, okay? We're very much learning about the inherent boom and bust cycle of this world at both a material and energetic level. And I would also say, because this is such a subtle energy, and I've been talking about this a lot on Patreon, I hope you guys go over and check out the Patreon page. It's such a good service. There's such a plethora of content over there. Again, there are free trials. Don't miss out on the chance to try that out for free and see if it's something you're interested in. That's linked below. I've been talking about this so much over there, about the subtle power of the Wood Dragon year in Scorpio, okay, and the whispers and the undercurrents that are available to us to work through here. But these are not like obvious things like, here's this money for your bank account. I mean, some people have that too, but you don't have to make it be something like that. You don't have to make it prove itself materially. As I think one of the most beautiful things about the current energy and paradigm that we're in is it gives these things in almost poetic ways. So say you've struggled with poverty. Although you might not get millions of dollars here, you might have some type of other context that just renders that narrative obsolete, even though it's not maybe in an obvious way. Okay, so like this could be a time where now through your journey of poverty, you now have some type of appointment in your life where you like work with people who are going through poverty at like a government level or something. Okay, so it's like maybe that's not a super lucrative position, but it's like bringing you clarity and relevance based on a previous traumatic thing in a new empowering way. That's just a random example that comes to my mind. Another thing could be like, okay, you've struggled with like loneliness or isolation. Well, like maybe you still are like lonely and isolated to some degree, but maybe you now have like a huge social media following or something, or you now have like a huge plethora of community, but it's not like physical. So this is the weird thing about this period of time, you all, and the way that people really mess themselves up here is they need it in really obvious ways. Okay, they need millions of dollars to prove to themselves they're not impoverished. They need a huge friend group over inside their house all the time to prove that they're no longer lonely, or they need, you see what I'm meaning? And that's just not going to happen here, because we are in such a subtly beautiful time that's giving us things that solve problems in more meaningful ways than are obvious. So it's a Sphinx-like time, and I encourage you guys to think about this here during this new moon in Scorpio, like, how have my problems really been resolved? How have I really actually stepped out of the fire or stepped out of major problems in ways that are so subtle that it almost can't be revoked, or that I almost can't lose it, okay? Because that's one of the reasons also why things are not being resolved in such obvious ways, is because, yeah, when we get a bunch of money after poverty, you know, look at people who win the lottery. Oftentimes they lose it all, okay? Or, you know, if we've gone from having no relationships in our life to suddenly being flooded with people, I mean, that could be polarizing. That could be too much of a shock. So this time is gentle. It's a gentle time, Wood Dragon Scorpio season. It's showing us the gentle side of Scorpio. It's showing us the more diplomatic side of Scorpio. Definitely the more Plutonian, undercurrent-oriented side of Scorpio. But there are also forces right now like Mars in Cancer, which is about to move into Leo as well this week, which could be louder and could be more... it could be just more direct with how it wants to resolve these issues as that opposes Pluto. So there's this discomfort also at the same time, with Jupiter retrograde in Gemini too, and Mercury about to move into Sag and then retrograde. All of that is exactly opposite to this beautiful subtle energy that I'm talking about, and that wants more of an obvious, like adolescent almost expression of resolution. So it wants for things to very obviously, very directly resolve. And I just caution a little bit of reservation with this, because all of those placements are not placed well right now. So I see a lot of people trying too hard to directly resolve things. Like, I don't like that job anymore, so I'm quitting it. Or, you know, I am so tired of being single that I'm just going to get a date like now, okay? Like these like desperate feelings. Or I'm so tired of being poor or tired of being frugal that I'm going to the bank for a loan now, okay? Like, careful about these, because that Jupiter in Gemini will do this kind of thing a lot. It will think, okay, hands up, I'm done, walking away, we're done. And, you know, that is just going to be something that happens here too. As some people do need to quit and some people need to just throw the hands up with some things in their lives. But the thing about that here is that it's very loud, okay? It's very much something that will distract from the undercurrent that is actually vital here, because I'm talking about Wood Dragon Alchemy with the Scorpio season, new moon in Scorpio. It's a very quiet undercurrent whisper that reveals like how our life force works as people, because it's different for everybody, okay? So if we get really loud with things, we throw the hands up, we quit our job, we go get a bunch of money from the bank loan or something, that's just so loud and so like extreme that it's going to really distract from the undercurrent of this time. So it's almost better, even if some things are uncomfortable, or even if some things are a little bit old here, as they would be, right, with an anaretic Pluto, Mars, Neptune, and even almost Uranus as well. Mercury, okay. There's no way to escape things feeling a little bit old and outworn here. There's no getting out of that totally. There's only putting band-aids on the wound. There's only loud, distracting noise, not solutions to that. So those solutions are going to be coming over this next like year or two. And it can't be rushed. And we really need these undercurrents here in November 2024 to understand how we can powerfully resolve in the future rather than just kind of noisily resolve, if that makes sense. Now, another thing that I want to talk about this week ahead, and I mean, this dialogue has already kind of done it for us in a way, but there's still a little bit more that I want to get into with the Grand Water Trine. Okay, Mercury, exact on November 1st, Mercury, Mars, and Neptune, exact Grand Water Trine, Mercury in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, Neptune in Pisces. Our mind is changing on some things. There's a perceptible shift in groupthink as well. There's a perceptible shift in how people relate themselves to others. Okay, Mercury and Mars in a trine says to me also that what we're thinking with Mercury could be coming into better alignment with what we actually want to do. So the mind and the body getting more on the same page, though Mars is debilitated in Cancer. So there's like maybe a previous emotional context that is kind of like antagonizing what the body feels that it needs. So we're going to have to get out of our head more, okay? And we're going to have to like really actually get physical and work with our resources in a more abundant way on the physical and not overthink things. As Neptune on the other side of this trine in Pisces is just bringing things into such an unclear, like ethereal psychic space that is kind of like overwhelming a lot of the consciousness right now. So we have like body versus mind versus psyche. But also those things could be aligning better here, or they could, since this is a grand trine, it's almost like we have a chance to balance those things out, or we have a chance to bring these three different elements of ourselves into better harmony. Okay, so how can we do that? How can we bring essentially body, mind, and spirit into greater harmony? I mean, that's the simplest way to really transcend and work through this time powerfully. Well, the first thing that comes up is definitely stopping things that we know aren't good for us anymore, okay? Getting out of addictive cycles, getting out of over-emotional thinking patterns, getting out of apathetic thinking patterns, balancing the emotions in the mind, and then also sometimes just getting very simple, like a brain dump could be good here. Okay, getting everything out onto paper, just writing for like 10 pages in the journal, just get it out. Okay, get it out. Every concern, every worry, every like also maybe compulsion as well. Like I really want this in my life, but I know it's not good for me. Or I keep feeling like I need to do things every day that I know I don't enjoy. Getting it in front of us and on paper would be a great way to curve the power of it, because a lot of these things are not that powerful. Okay, they're powerful, you know, these addictions, these unconscious loops, these things that we don't need to do anymore, but we do out of routine or familiarity. They're hiding a greater lack, or they're hiding some type of other absence that we need to see. Okay, so we are having maybe a feeling of something being missing also with this water trine, as that was coming up in a lot of the Patreon sign by signs this month. Something has gone missing, or something is not here in the same abundance, or we didn't even know that something wasn't there, but it's not. Or there's something in a hidden place that's actually there for us. Okay, so there's this feeling of maybe not having total awareness of the entire picture. And this could be very much because we have certain constructs in our life that are like eclipsing out the important stuff. So some of us just have to show ourselves how we feel. Some of us have to be more honest with ourselves. Some of us have to also know that some things that we enjoyed maybe 10 plus years ago, we don't enjoy them anymore. Or some things have had their time. Some things are now out of style, not just out of style, but they're out of relevance to who we are now, but they fit perfectly with who we were 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And maybe there's a part of us that goes on forever that was in that previous phase or in that previous position where that construct really harmonized. But maybe we're not there now, or maybe our season has changed, or maybe we have a different need as people. This feels like a very, very imperative element of this new moon in Scorpio wood dragon year. Water trine time is like letting certain things leave you all. And people struggle with this so much in this world, the way that it is today, like releasing things, okay, letting it go. You know, that person was only meant to be in our lives for like one season, not forever, okay? And we want to keep them here, even if it's only in our mind. Let it go, okay? Because it's eclipsing out some type of really important path that you need to be on for you, okay? Ghosts of the past, okay, with this water trine, yeah, that's a big thing here. Ghosts of the past, motivations that we had before, reasons we put something together that we now don't have the same, justification for. Reasons also to eat certain foods or to consume certain things that used to be okay, but now it's a perpetual loop that makes no sense, okay? Words that we've spoken before that were better said only once, but we keep repeating. Businesses or jobs that made sense for someone, in their 20s, but maybe not in their 40s, okay? understanding our age, understanding who we are now, understanding also supportive mechanisms or people that we may not actually be aware of because we're so hung up on things from the past or from things that aren't here now. And maybe we're trying to carry a boulder up the hill alone when there are plenty of supportive mechanisms that we can't even see that are available to us because we're so dang hung up on the past or on even like a previous paradigm. Okay, like I want my life to work the way that it did in 2017. Good luck. Okay, and thank God. I mean, thank God it doesn't work the way that it did then, but people get really hooked in to familiarity and to almost like a scope or a rubric of measuring their life. So like that stuff is changing here. The way in which we measure our life is changing here. The way in which we value money is really changing here. The way in which we also connect to groups is really changing, right? Pluto is about to change signs permanently. Like as I'm filming this video, it's October 30th, 2024. I think it's going up on YouTube on November 1st. This is our last few weeks of Pluto in Capricorn. Forever or for the rest of our lives. Then we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius, and it's going to be a very different way of regarding money, a very different way of regarding community and group, and a very different way of integration. And the way the past also influences things really changes with Pluto in Aquarius, and it's maybe less influential, okay, than it was during Pluto in Capricorn. The Capricorn-Cancer axis is all about the past. And yes, there are people who have made the past or their heritage or their ancestry or their history some type of construct in their relevance forward, and that's not going to change. But what may change is how much it's playing a part in our daily lives or how much we're focusing on it, because we're really going to have to look at some new paths, and we're really going to have to like actually look at like the joy of life, which is sometimes experiencing uncontextual things or things that we're not familiar with. It would be kind of sad to see that like just the way things are right now is the way that they'll perpetually be forever. But I think that a lot of people don't realize it, but they're almost like wishing that it was that and not knowing that that's an unfortunate kind of like vote or wish to hold. So consider that here. Consider sending some things off to donation during this time. I've seen a lot of people having great results with like donating old things, okay, getting certain bills off their plate, getting like, even if it seems small, it can like snowball, okay? And I've been seeing that in like my own life, and the people that I know who are doing good right now, they're not clinging on too much to things from the past. They're letting it go, and it's like immediately returning results on the other side of it. Now, do we need to employ discretion? Of course. I'm not saying to just strike a match on your entire life or something, no way. But there's some kind of margin of unnecessity that is really hanging us up in 2024, and I definitely recommend looking at that and looking at how you can lighten your load a little bit. And I think on that note, everyone, I'm going to conclude this video. Check out my Patreon page. It's linked below. That's a wonderful, wonderful value for only $5 a month. You can get the week ahead forecasts. Okay, that's $5 a month. Also, for only $12 a month, you can get all of the sign-by-signs and all of the week ahead forecasts. So this is a very good deal, and it is what makes this YouTube channel possible. So come and check out the Patreon page. There are free trials. You can, yes, even for a limited period of time, try it for 7 days for free. If you don't like it, you can cancel. But I think that you'll probably want to stay. It's a really also convenient UI navigation system that they have over there, and it's ad-free, obviously. So come and check out Patreon, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I put out these videos still here on YouTube as a free offering. Hit the thumbs up, like button below, share this video if you get the chance, and comment and let me know how you felt about it. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great transit. Bye.